the price of electricity changes literally from 1 hour to the next. In the Netherlands, they have a 15-minute energy market. The price changes every 15 minutes. Believe it or not, in the middle of the day, on a sunny day in the Netherlands, you get paid to charge your battery. Right? You get paid to use power from the grid because they have too much. So you are being paid to help bring the frequency on the grid down. So what Dynamic ESS was built to do is just to plug into those APIs and charge the customer's battery when the energy is free or cheap, or you are actually being paid to charge, and discharge the battery when the price is high. And it does that automatically in the background by speaking to the energy market API. That's Dynamic ESS. Now you can also use Dynamic ESS when you have time of use tariffs, because they have a mode called fixed, which I think, Andre, are you going to show that?
Yeah, exactly.
I have a site where it's set up. Okay. So, and with fixed, you will have a schedule that comes from Eskom or from the city of Cape Town or whatever that tells you between this time and this time, this is the tariff in and out. And in fixed, you can basically build up that tariff model, and then it will buy power during the cheap time and sell it during the expensive time. That's Dynamic ESS. Anything else you think Dynamic ESS, it's not that. That's all it is. Buy when it's cheap, sell when it's expensive.
Okay, so a quick overview. Take control of your own energy, use uninterrupted power for critical loads. You can trade your energy, lowering grid energy costs, contributing to grid balancing, not only for use in Europe. Okay, so we know ESS, that's a standard ESS system. We store our surplus energy. We only use solar power and battery power as much as possible, and the grid whenever we need it. But we always have excess energy at some point. Our Dynamic ESS allows you to listen to this command from the grid companies telling you these times of day, feed power back, we'll pay you, charge your battery now, we'll pay you. Okay, so and that's where the dynamic part comes in. So 2 use cases. In Europe, we get the day ahead prices. So every afternoon they send out this API, and our algorithm listens to that and configures what it was doing yesterday. Okay. So yeah, yes, one of the examples, that's the ENTSO, that's one of the European APIs. It's changing all the time. So yeah, for information sets, so how the logic works, it sets a system capacity, and it's reprogramming the algorithm when you initially set it up. I'll show you. So first you need to know all the costs of your system. I'll go through the little setup. Okay. This kilowatt-hour price, your energy provider fee, you need to enter that, but we don't. I'll show you the other way. There's 2 modes. That's just for trading. That's the trade mode. But we use the green mode in South Africa. We don't have APIs. And what the green mode does, so that's what it looks like. So you come in, you say, can you sell power back to the grid, yes or no? We say no. What's your maximum import power? What mode do you want? In Europe, you say yes, because I can trade my energy. And then you go and set up your algorithm, you program it. What's my grid cost? What's my minimum import current? What's my battery capacity? What's my minimum discharge power? Maximum discharge power? You know, that's the stuff that we know. That's the cost of the battery. And it will work out what your cost per kilowatt hour is, because it uses that and says, hey, it's cheaper to use the battery now than to use the grid or the solar. Okay, it's smart. And then how often do you want to fully charge your lithium battery? That's a recent improvement in the last year, because we found that the batteries get unbalanced because they continuously makes sense. And then what's your price to buy from the grid? And that's the interesting part for South Africa. So let me just go to the next. So it's all in the VRM. So we go to settings. Dynamic ESS is there. So mine is active. So there's a documentation page I can go to, but if you want to edit your setup, so I go back to the system, and I go, okay, I can't feed back to the grid. My maximum import power is 8 kilowatt. I want to have a green mode. Back to overview. And then there's my battery capacity, 12 kilowatt hours, maximum charge and discharge. Can you see? And then estimated battery cycle life, cost of battery, and the system calculates that for you. Battery balancing on every 14 days. And here I set my tariff periods. Because in green mode, we want to use the cheapest form of grid. So I've just kind of lied to it. Say during 6 and 8, my grid price is high. So I'd rather charge my battery from the grid before that expensive period. You run off battery. So that's the idea. So the time of use tariffs, this is very cheap. And it also looks at your solar forecast. So say today you've got 20 kilowatt hours of solar, you can easily discharge your battery now and then charge with solar later until the next discharge period. And that's where this algorithm is really smart. So you can set multiple, I've got 0 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 5 o'clock. So you can see the different costs. Okay? And that's what you program as the user. And looks at the cost of your battery versus the cost of the grid. And it just, yeah, that's it in a nutshell. It's interesting. We look at a commercial or something that's being penalized. Or it's on the best. Yeah, exactly. If a guy's a limited supply or, yeah.
Can you set the weekend time as well?
Yes, you can.
So that's exactly your winter tariff or the summer tariff, you do that as well.
Doesn't have seasonal value. You need values you need to log into that. That's coming there.
The way I do that is with a node red flow that's configured to change the tariffs.
Yeah.
Oh,
So this was basically built with Node Red. But we can do all of this with Node Red, but there's already like 80% of the work done. And if you need an extra 5 or 10% extra, like we're saying now, there's already something.
so when the setting comes in again, can you override this? Override.
That incorporates load shedding.
Oh, so it does.
Yeah. So you just need to make sure that, well,
In Node Red.
yeah, well, you can tell it.
Mm.
When Node Red starts, disable Dynamic ESS.
Oh, okay.
So one actually was off, but let me show you what that looks like. So if I go back, I go to my dashboard. I scroll down, you can see there's my Dynamic ESS. Well, it's off now, but you can see, and then, and then now wildlife. But yeah, I will tell you, grid to the battery consumption. It tells you your mix. According to those tariff periods. There you can see there's the solar hours. So total consumption from solar is obviously not active now because cost of earnings, well, there's nothing because I'm not earning anything. There's my schedule. That's right. So I switched it off now and I switched it back on. I've kind of messed it up, but so we'll look at this today. So here you can see grid usage, battery usage. So you can see it working. But it's very attractive in Europe because the people are, they're making money with all the excess energy. And I'm trying to have a discussion in the city of Cape Town and say, look, we have all these Victron systems with lots of storage. Why don't you implement something like this and just ask for 1 kilowatt hour from all the solar systems at a certain time of day and offer them a price. But yet, because we're not privatized, it's not going to work. But so a lot of this is already very, very interesting. Correct. So you've got to go to a system and then install it. Let's see if I can find one. Training. TP. Okay. So that's a training display. Let's see if I can activate it. So continue configuration. So then remote. Next. What's your capacity? Got to get into your capacity. Tells you how to calculate that.
How do you decide on the maximum and minimum?
according to your battery,
Your maximum discharge and
the size of your inverter.
The normal toggle in VRM that sets your minimum SOC. That's what it uses.
the 4 kilowatts. So the 4 is that just because it's obviously you have an 8 kilowatt.
Got a 5.
Why do you set 8 kilowatts?
Now, this is taking my last known settings. I haven't made any settings yet.
Oh, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
The page before that, when you have the maximum grids.
Yeah, there's your import power. Import power. So what is my is it 32 amps? Is it 64 amps? Single phase, 3 phase?
So you have 4 because it's 80%.
Yeah, and I've got a 5 kilowatt inverter. So, and then how often do I want to do that? You want to restrict battery usage? No. Yes. Enable discharge battery to grid restriction? Yes. Enable charge battery? Yeah. So, and then there's all your fixed or dynamic. Are your buying prices fixed or dynamic? They're fixed. Your price is different from weekdays to weekends? Yes. And then it will give you weekdays and weekends. That's what you ask for? Yeah. It's been completed. Yeah, but check it out. But that's only if you have those tariffs.
So on the price that you've got a drop down menu for rand. So it's euro.
Yeah. So in your system, and the general, yeah, you've got to select the right currency. You've got to start with that, otherwise you're going to have a problem.
Alright, can you specify that Sundays has a different tariff?
Yeah.
Only Sunday. From Saturday.
Let me have a look. Where is that? That's only it's weekends. The Saturday and Sunday.
And can you set a specific time when you want it to be for?
Yeah, there. You can set this many times on the weekend.
But let's say there's no cost difference, you just want it to be for.
What do you mean? Want the battery to be full?
Yeah, let's say you want to charge the battery out for when it's time, let's say for a milkery, they want it full, let's say at 12, but they want to empty it up to 3 and recharge for the night.
You need a no grid flow for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you need a no grid flow for that.
That's how I'm doing it now. I just want to kind of maybe switch to this because I think you get the read of how much you've saved over the span of time.
But that's why Warwick said it's very nice and all that, but 10% of that is for South Africa.
Okay.
But it's because that was built with no grid in the background and then implemented. Like I know we've been working on Eskom's push. We're just waiting for serious load shedding to happen and Eskom's push to be stable, because then we can also implement something like that. That was always the plan, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's
they're
waiting to be tested.
So then it'll become like a dynamic ESS. Because that's what Sunsync and all the other guys say they can do.
How many places to South Africa use?
Depends on your municipality, where you are. If it's like commercial or agri, there's so many different tariffs.
Yeah, but residential is not.
No. Maybe in certain areas like Camps Bay or I don't know.
Midstream is on double use.
Midstream, yeah.
You got time use?
In your property, wherever the Lani stay.
Homeflex.
That's the other one.
Which one?
What?
Homeflex, SSG, guys.
Eskom, yeah.
Okay.
Loanflex.
Home.
Homeflex, yeah, sorry. I don't know all the tariffs. It's another.
As soon as you do,
I need an 8-day week to catch up on the tariffs.
Okay.
But that's yours.
So this has been running for a month or two.
It's a schedule.
In midstream.
In midstream.
So
There you can see the high tariff period. April.
hold on. The green is the sell price, the export price, and the red is the buy price. So you are always selling for less than you're buying, but this is Eskom Homeflex. And the price, the difference is only R1.30 between the two. So it's quite generous during the peak period to sell power to the grid. You can see off peak, it's lower than the middle of the day. And in the evenings, it's higher than the off-peak, which is from 11 o'clock at night. Then if we look at his yesterday, I don't know what the weather was like in Gauteng.
See, I went through the settings quite quickly because he's now told that you can feedback.
Yes.
And he's also probably selected that you can maybe use more battery power for discharging as well. You can also discharge a battery into the grid if you really want. If he has a big enough battery, if he wants to make more money. So this
one is feeding into the grid, so you get the psychedelic grass here that shows you the blue there is battery to grid, the light blue. The yellow is solar to grid, so lots of solar to grid in the middle of the day. Solar to battery is the green. Own consumption is yellow, so he's using very little. And then you get this. So I made his battery cost 0. So I made his battery cost nothing because he already had it. So now he's paid it off. Now he's going to start using this. I don't want him to say, I'm not getting good earnings. He already priced in his battery. The battery's there. So
smart.
So I made it 0. So there, his electricity bill was 15 Rand on this day.
Mine is 15 Rand.
No, his bill was 15.
Oh, it's 15. Okay.
So
that's how it shows us
on this day, he actually made money. He made more selling to the grid than he bought from it. On this day, the weather was cucked, obviously, and the consumption was high, so he lost money. But the bottom line is he's using very little power, and this is the middle of winter. Okay?
Yeah. So when you tell it to actively discharge your batteries, you can say, but only use 20% of my battery in that function. So you can control that as well.
So that makes sense. Got excess battery.
Exactly.
If you've got enough solar, bottom line, because you only have excess battery if you've got enough solar, and if you're willing to forego battery capacities, because if after the evening discharge you have a power failure, you now have got 30% left or whatever the site is set.
So there's lots and lots of little. I just wanted to give you a quick overview, but it's interesting. But if you have that, like midstream there's low hanging fruit there.
And I want to test it out. Because he currently uses the charging schedule to charge his battery during off-peak times in midstream and then discharge.
I didn't get time to talk about that today. There's some really interesting developments in the scheduled charging as well.
And that brings us to the end of this video. If you've made it this far, I sincerely hope you have enjoyed the content and learned something new. If so, please leave a like and subscribe to support the channel, as well as to get notified of any future videos. Oh, and make sure to check out this video as well. You can also subscribe over here. And this one is pretty cool too. Lastly, don't forget to visit and sign up for a free account at the Blue Power Pro Forum.